First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking these things as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello, hello, hello.
Let's get right down to it.
Yes. Hello.
I'm here.
I am Davie Portman. This is Up Next. Welcome. PostWrestling.com and wherever you find your podcasts. And of course, we are live on twitch.tv/upnextpodcast. Hello, Twitch Room. If you're watching, give us a follow. Say hello. We're glad to have you here. But as you might have heard, that is not the usual opening we have to Up Next because Braden's had enough. He's quit. He's taken his ball and gone home. NXT is dead. He's never coming back. That is the end. No, I am kidding. Braden's just having a well-deserved day off. He's gone to a concert tonight. And luckily, we do have someone else to hold down the fort. And that is Mr. Shot in the Dark himself, John Siino. Evil. John, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I honestly thought Braden just went to go join his friends in AEW. His friends jump in the front row there and sit there and just become all elite. Is this true? This is the first NXT that he's missed? Like, he kept saying that, but I wasn't, sure about that. He's never missed an episode of Up Next or What's Next.
I think it's his first Up Next. He's definitely missed... We've had someone else fill in for a Was Next and BD Elite and some Patreon shows, but I think this is the first since the Up Next era that Braden's missed. So he very much deserves the day off. And I know he's having a lot of fun at a concert right now. Good for him.
I got to tell you a little secret. So I've been hearing this Braden Harrington every couple of weeks talking about NXT is dead and everybody should leave. So, I paid him a little visit. And Braden Harrington is somewhere out at the dock with my cousin Vinny.
Cousin Vinny or Cousin Frankie swimming with the fishes, because that's what's happening this Thursday, I believe. Is it not, Siino?
It is this Thursday. You're right. Fire Frank. I don't want to say his name. I got to give a different name, like Flaming Fred or something. I got to be conspicuous in the Witness Protection Aid program. But I made a couple phone calls, and then Braden took a well-deserved vacation.
Absolutely. Well, yes, this is Up Next. We are your NXT friends. Siino, that's your job. There we go.
I know.
Friends.
There we go.
Friends. There we go. We are here every Tuesday night, 10:15, live on twitch.tv/upnextpodcast and wherever you find your podcasts, talking all about NXT. And we also do a show every Wednesday night at 10:15, following AEW Dynamite every week, NXT, AEW. And then, of course, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/upnextpodcast. Where you can find all kinds of other reviews. Say this week, we've got a lot coming up with it being Survivor Series week. We're doing a flashback review, Braden and I, looking at Survivor Series 2001. It's the 20th anniversary of The Alliance versus WWE. WCW, ECW taking on WWE at Survivor Series. It's the culmination of the invasion angle. Braden and I are going to be talking all about that this week in Reviews from the 6. And we have our annual Survivor Series draft. It's our third Survivor Series draft. I know we have Braden, last year's winner, the first BDE champion, taking on the current champion, Fire Frank, as well as Brandon from New Jersey. And we have a couple of guests as well who are going to be playing the draft this year in the bid for the BDE Championship. That will be this very Thursday, live on twitch.tv/upnextpodcast. But that's not all for this week. We also have our watch-along for Survivor Series this Sunday. Twitch.tv/upnextpodcast. We will be hosting a live watch-along of Survivor Series 2021. And boy, aren't we excited to talk all about SmackDown versus Raw. Which brand will reign supreme? Siino, how excited are you about Survivor Series this weekend?
Not that excited, especially the fact that it's happening in my backyard in New York, and I have really no intention of going. So I'm just like, whatever. Like every time I tune in, it's like, oh, this guy's not part of the team now. They got replaced with somebody else, and this person's out. And it's just like, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Do you think you'll change your mind? Can you see yourself going there, like last minute? Or it really hasn't grabbed you at all?
Yeah, I worked that day. I worked till like 6 p.m. So it literally had to be like a last minute thing, just me just jumping on the train and heading down there. But I don't really see myself wanting to go unless like something big leaks out or some surprise or something. I might consider it, but it's got to be like really good tickets. Like I'm not going to spend like an arm and a leg for it.
Well, if you don't go, you know you can hang out with us in the Twitch room and be there for our watch along, guys. They're always a lot of fun. Braden and I will be doing this weekend. But we also have some stuff on this feed. We've just done our AEW Full Gear review. Full Gear, the huge AEW pay-per-view this weekend. Hear all our thoughts on this very feed. And previously in the month, we were joined by Mr. Wei Ting from Post Wrestling to do an episode of Best Match Ever, where we talked about the SmackDown 6. Now, there were a lot of Eddie tributes at Full Gear. And, well, we do a lot of Eddie tributes in this show because there's a lot of Eddie Guerrero talking about the best matches of the SmackDown 6. Check that out on the Patreon. We've got episodes of Was Next, where we look at classic 2013 NXT. We've got a Karate Kid Part 2 review up there. And then next week, we're going to be looking at TakeOver Toronto 2016. It's the 5-year anniversary, as well as celebrating St. Andrew's Day for all our Scottish listeners, where we'll be talking about Ted Danson in Loch Ness. Maybe the most anticipated review we've ever done.
You know, it's funny, like I was hanging out with Fire Frank the other day in New York City, and we were talking about like where did this like even come from? And we were thinking it came from the Leprechaun review, right? Because we're thinking of other holidays. I think so. And then Ted Danson, for some reason, was like a very popular person of discussion in those late night Twitch chats that we'd have, and just became this Ted Danson love marathon to the point where got to do the review now.
So yeah, I can't wait for this one. I can't wait to talk all about this film, and hopefully it looks like we might be having a guest for that one. So stay tuned with that. But very much looking forward to that. Go check out the Patreon. It's only $5 to be a North American champion, and there's coming up to 400 shows in the back catalogue you can check out right there. So do yourself a favor and subscribe to patreon.com/upnext. And while you're at it, go to our YouTube channel as well. This costs absolutely nothing. Go to youtube.com/upnext and give us a follow. It costs nothing and it helps us out a lot. Subscribe to us. It would be awesome. Well, I think that's all the plugs out the way. But John, how are you doing? You're Mr. Shot in the Dark because you're the man that hosts Shot in the Dark every Wednesday on this free feed, where you talk about all the wrestling that's going on that people might have missed. But what kind of has caught your eye? I haven't really got to talk to you much about Full Gear yet, but quick like cliff notes. What were your thoughts on Full Gear?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I started transitioning from doing Impact reports to Dynamite reports now on postwrestling.com. So I feel like I'm paying more attention to AEW. Not that I wasn't before, but now it's like I'm obviously taking more notes now and everything. So that kind of made me excited for Full Gear. The problem was I was working during Full Gear, so I could not watch it live. I had to literally turn off my phone and avoid all spoilers and then come home because I had to do the live report for the New Japan show, which is happening in San Jose at 11 p.m. So I had to watch that show first. And then I was so amped up and excited at 2 a.m. I threw on Full Gear and I fell asleep during the MJF match. Not that it wasn't good. I was too tired. So the next morning I woke up and I watched it and I really enjoyed the show. It was really good. I can understand some concerns about it possibly being too long and maybe you can cut a match or two. But overall, it was a really strong show. I think it was the best like built up show as far as like storylines go. You obviously had your payoff with Hangman and Page and you had the Eddie and CM Punk storyline. Me personally, I think that All Out and maybe even Grand Slam were better possibly because we were there. So obviously the whole experience makes it like that. I'm not saying Full Gear wasn't their best show. I think I had to go back and rewatch the show as a whole. But I think like from a storyline perspective, it was like straight up and down like one of their best shows.
What was your match of the night?
MJF and Darby.
Yeah,
for sure.
Me too. And kind of what else is on your radar? What will you be? Can you give us a little preview of what you're going to be talking about tomorrow on Shot in the Dark?
Yeah, absolutely. The usual stuff, AEW Dark Elevation. Now that I'm not doing the Impact reports, I'm going to start talking about Impact on Shot in the Dark itself. So you can hear my thoughts on Minoru Suzuki versus Caleb with a K that happened on this past week's episode,
Wow.
which was a doozy. Then Minoru Suzuki goes in and fights Chris Dickinson on New Japan Strong. It's funny, like a lot of the people that wrestle on shows like cross over to other shows, so I see them like in multiple like variations in other shows. It's really like fun to see like one person that was on like MLW one week shows up on New Japan Strong the next week, and it's like I'm kind of following their journeys as they jump around from like these B or C shows. So yeah, you can have me talk about all that. Minoru Suzuki and Chris Dickinson was probably my favorite matches I watched this week, and it sucks because he just got injured at this past Battle in the Valley show, which is really, it really sucks. I'm a big fan of Chris Dickinson. And obviously there's a lot of stuff happening with Ring of Honor. And in the funniest way, they wrote off, I want to say in quotation marks, Jay Lethal. I'm not sure if this is the last we've seen of him, but if it is, it's a really weird way to write him off. So you can hear my thoughts on that tomorrow. His last appearance, I guess, for Ring of Honor before he shows up on AEW on tomorrow on Dynamite.
Yeah, I guess he will be showing up tomorrow. But yeah, everyone, make sure you check out Shot in the Dark. It's under 15 minutes, catching you up with everything you may have missed. And so you can feel well informed and grow that big wrestling brain of yours. Before we move on, I did forget to plug a couple more shows. I'm going to be joining Wei Ting and Jordan Goodman on the Wellness Policy this Thursday, I believe at 3 p.m. And this week we're talking about the subject's community. So I'm joining those guys to talk all about that. Wellness Policy, fantastic show that Wei and Jordan have put together, discussing kind of mental health and well-being, which is something I think all of us can check in at times. So come and join us for that. And then I'll be joined by British Wrestling Experience and Grapple Spotlight host Benno this Friday on the sesh, talking about the latest episode of Succession. So lots and lots of stuff there to check out across UpNXT, the Patreon, and Post Wrestling. But Siino, what have you been up to this week? I know the internet is abuzz tonight, and no, not because of the poker game, but because of a certain trailer that just dropped.
Ooh, yes, you're talking about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, right?
I am. Yes. Have you watched it yet?
I did. I'm not going to lie. I had to watch it during NXT. I had to play NXT on a quick pause just to watch this 3 or 4 minute video. It's funny because I told myself I wasn't going to watch it. I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. The movie comes out in like a month. There's no reason to watch it. But then in my head, I'm thinking, are they really going to show what I think they're going to show? And I'm like, I don't think they're going to. And I saw like a quick picture and I was like, this seems like something totally different. But like they hyped it up so much because they had like this big fan event, I think in Los Angeles, and everybody's talking about it. So they made it seem like it was a huge thing. Not that it wasn't, but it wasn't what we expected. They didn't really spoil anything that I didn't already know. I mean, we can talk about spoilers, I guess. They do show some of the
let's just say skip ahead maybe 3 minutes if you're one of those people that doesn't want to know anything about stuff coming out. But yeah, let's quickly talk about what was on it.
So they didn't show Tobey Maguire. They didn't show Andrew Garfield, which was the two things that people thought they were going to show. Instead, they showed all the other villains that were like pretty much rumored and confirmed. You had Willem Dafoe in there as the Green Goblin. You had Jamie Foxx as Electro. You had Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman was there. Lizard was there. You had all the villains.
Yeah, I thought I saw Lizard as well.
Yeah, he was there at the very end. So you pretty much got the real first look and confirmation of all the villains. And there was like some other teases. I need to watch the trailer like 2 or 3 times to really break it down. But there was like some other teases of like other forces coming in to help. So I'm guessing that's where like the other Spider-Man's coming. Even the scene where you see MJ falling off the building, I feel like this Peter
It's the Gwen Stacy death thing,
exactly.
Isn't it?
So I think another Spider-Man is gonna save him, especially the part where Dr. Octopus was like, "You're not Peter Parker." So obviously they're already acknowledging there's other Peter Parkers. So I think they're gonna save that for the actual movie, which I was very happy. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them actually in the theater with a big reaction and with a crowd and just get all. It's like you said previous times. It's a CM Punk thing, right? We know it's gonna happen, but when we see it, it's gonna make it so much more exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Like I think it would be a real shame if they showed it in the trailer. We know it's coming, but still, I want to wait. It's AJ Styles showing up at the Rumble, isn't it? It's that kind of thing. You know it's happening. Yeah. But I can't wait for this film. The trailer looks nuts. I love all the teases and the callbacks from the other films and stuff, as you mentioned. Very exciting stuff. But
And
yeah,
you've been
what
catching up
else?
to your Marvel. You've been catching up to your Marvel, right? You saw Eternals. I'm not sure if you saw Shang-Chi yet, but
I did. I went to see Eternals on at the weekend, and I quite enjoyed it, actually. I don't know anything about the Eternals. Never read the comics. Know zero about them, but I actually pretty enjoyed it. Not like top tier Marvel, but it's definitely it's not at the bottom for me, for sure. And I still need to catch up on Shang-Chi, so I definitely need to see that before Spider-Man. But I know it's on Disney Plus now, so I'll either do that or I do want to catch it in a movie theater while it's still out, because I do prefer seeing films in a cinema. So
I did see Clifford the Big Red Dog. I can talk about that if you like.
in the theaters.
No. That was one that luckily it was available on one of these 55 streaming services that I have, and my son really wanted to see it. So I was like, oh, you know what? They got a free trial membership. Let's throw this on and watch it.
You see, that I would have to see on IMAX. Like, I really want to see that big red dog be really big and really red.
In comparison, from a 7-year-old standpoint, he highly enjoyed Clifford the Red Dog. When we put on the new Home Alone movie, the new Home Sweet Home Alone movie, within like 40 minutes, he's like, Dad, I don't like this. Like, can we turn this off? And he never says that about any movie. So if he says that about a movie, I was relieved because I hate it. It was terrible. It's such a bad movie. It's really bad. No. Like, and they try to like mention Kevin McAllister at one point. Like somebody's on the phone with, oh yeah, my brother Kevin, and it's like, all right, come on, like you're trying so hard, and the movie was not good. It was so forced to try to be like the original Home Alone, and it didn't land at any level. But Clifford the Big Red Dog, not that bad. If you got kids and they have to choose a movie, I would choose Clifford over Home Alone, Home Sweet Home Alone.
I mean, when I saw the trailer for it, it did look bad, but I do like the kid. I think he's the kid from Jojo Rabbit, so I thought maybe he could be quite funny. Because he's pretty funny in that film, but yeah, I don't know. I can't say it's probably one I'm going to be checking out unless it's kind of Christmas Day and I'm a few bottles of wine deep. I don't know. Yeah,
gotta be a couple bottles down for that one.
I think so. So yeah, it is Survivor Series coming up this weekend. So maybe let's quickly go through the card and give some predictions before we get into NXT. Is there anything? I know you said you're probably not going to go, and it isn't really grabbing you. Is there anything on this card that does interest you in any way?
I know like Aaliyah was originally stated for the SmackDown Women's team, and I know she has an empty spot now, so I'm hoping that's Xia Li, and she can possibly get a good, like, dominant, maybe not a win, but maybe she can run through like 2 or 3 eliminations, because make her look strong. I would like to see that. I mean, Roman and Big E is going to be good, obviously. RK Bro versus the Usos. I'm a fan of RK Bro. I like them. I'm not sure if you like their humor, but they've been pretty funny.
I really enjoy RK Bro. I think they're pretty funny. I think they're one of the best things going on Raw at the moment, actually.
I heard an interview today that Randy Orton said that he wanted to ride the camel, and Vince McMahon said, no, it's not your character. You're not goofy enough. I would have loved to see Randy on the camel, even if it was like for a second or something, just like, Riddle forces him up there. Just the visual of seeing like Riddle and Orton together on those camels would have been pretty funny. So
you're saying Randy's allowed to ride a sperm to the ring at WrestleMania, but he can't ride a camel in Saudi Arabia? Come on.
Oh yeah, sperm is, for Vince, that's very, very male dominant,
masculine.
But a camel, you can't get on a camel. He's just a goofy looking animal. I can just see Vince right now, his like wheels spinning in his head on the comparison between a camel and sperm. But as far as the rest of the show goes, they're hyping up like Bruno Sammartino, which is kind of interesting. I didn't even realize that till today. They're making all these Bruno Sammartino shirts. So that alone, I was like, hey, Frank, if you're going to go, Fire Frank, you need to bring me back a Bruno shirt. People were like suspecting maybe you're The Rock is the 25th anniversary of his debut, but it looks like that's not going to happen unless it's like a total surprise. But yeah, there's nothing else that really stands out. Like Nakamura and Priest is just happening because they happen to be champions. There's no build to that at all. There's other stuff between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Big E, but it's not. I don't know. It feels like this. Yeah, the shows feel like it's happening just to happen.
The 2 Survivor Series matches itself really means nothing to me. I think there is interest in Becky and Charlotte, especially with all the kind of real life drama going on, and I have enjoyed both of their promos on kind of like Becky's promo yesterday. I really liked, so I am looking forward to that. And Big E Roman does interest me because if this was the other company, right, I think you'd have Big E win this. It's not for a title. you then have that blemish, the one blemish against Roman Reigns' run. And then you could keep these separate for a long, long time until you do that eventual match. Knowing WWE, I feel Roman is just in that Brock role now, and Big E's going to put up a good fight, but ultimately lose. But I'd really like to see Big E win this one. I think it would be way more interesting.
Yeah, that story's been pretty good. Like the fact that like on SmackDown, the Usos have been feuding with the New Day. They took out Kofi. They just took out Xavier. Stole his crown and everything. So the build for that has been good. I would have rather had the 6-man match, the Usos and Roman against the New Day, but obviously they want to do champion versus champions. But yeah, that match should be good. And Charlotte and Becky, I'm intrigued. Obviously, with all the talk that happened between them backstage or whatever, I'm intrigued to see what this match is even going to look like. So I'll definitely watch the show, but it's not one that I plan on jumping on the train to go watch that night.
Fair enough. Well, let's jump in the train right now to go to the Capitol Wrestling Center for WWE NXT 2.0 from November 16th, 2021. We open with a match between Tony D'Angelo and Dexter Lumis. Now, you might recall last week that Tony gave some words to Indy Hartwell and actually gave her a dead fish because he was insinuating that Dexter, her husband, is going to be swimming with the fishes. Now, as Dexter Lumis makes his entrance, there's an easel with one of his paintings, one of his drawings on there, and it's revealed to be Tony D'Angelo underwater with the fishes. The match starts with Dexter chasing Tony around ringside. Tony scouts the leapfrog drop down from Dexter and starts to get a bit cocky, but eats a right hand to the chin. Tony then catches Dexter with a belly to belly and starts to stomp down on Lumis. D'Angelo manages to fight out of the silence. Dexter comes back with this clothesline and goes for the bulldog combo, but Tony D'Angelo escapes. That's when Tony brings in the easel to try and use as a weapon, but the referee takes it out the ring, and as she's distracted, D'Angelo pokes Dexter in the eye with his thumb and then does his fisherman neckbreaker finish for the win. John, what did you make of this opener?
It wasn't that good, honestly, and I love Tony D'Angelo. He's like one of my highlights. The finish was rather weak. He kind of like threw in the easel and it didn't really do anything. The one thing I will say is like for some reason when I saw the thumb in the eye, usually I would hate that finish, but for some reason that kind of fits his character. I feel like for some reason a thumb in the eye is something like a mobster would do to like get out of a fight or whatever. So I kind of like that part of it, but the match itself wasn't too good. Like the problem with Dexter is he's a really limited like wrestler, and when you're wrestling somebody new like a Tony D'Angelo who's kind of limited still, haven't seen too much of him. It doesn't make any really good chemistry between the two. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't like this match, but I could see Tony D'Angelo having better matches in the future if he gets a better opponent to fit his style, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I enjoy Dexter in sort of tags and things like that. I think he does a few things very well. But when it comes to a singles match, especially a singles match where he's kind of trying to carry it, it wasn't anything too exciting. I also thought the thumb at the end looked kind of weak. Like I wasn't entirely sure if the crowd completely picked up on it.
I barely picked up on it, yeah.
Yeah, like a low blow or something like that would have been more obvious, but I see what you're saying with it kind of fitting in with the character. After the match, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes run down to attack Dexter, and they put his hand inside a steel chair. Johnny runs out for the save, but they do stomp down on the hand of Dexter, and as they're leaving, Trick rips up the painting. So Dexter is injured, his hand's fucked, and Gargano gets on the mic and says, Carmelo, obviously you have made things personal. Originally I wanted to beat you for the title to prove that I am better than you, but now it's personal. You screwed with my family, my son-in-law. You screwed my family, and now I'm going to kick your teeth down your throat. And then Pete Dunne's music hits. The Bruiserweight comes out and says, don't you walk out here and try to worm yourself into a title match. I pinned Carmelo next week. And this is where Gargano reminds him, yes, with my help. And he says, I don't need your help. And that's when Trick and Mello are kind of up on a balcony or something here. And Trick calls them happy and grumpy, calls them the dwarves, makes fun of them and says, you all make me sick. And Pete just interrupts saying, who are you? Gargano says, I think that's the guy that carries Melo's bag for him. And Carmelo says, if it wasn't for me holding this championship, none of you would be relevant. Pete reminds him that he's the same age as him and has 10 years more experience and a win over him. So Carmelo really can't talk. And then Carmelo says, well, if you want to run it back and Johnny, you want your shot too for the A championship next week, let's have a triple threat match. Because when Melo shoots, Melo, and this is where he's reminded, you lost last week, interrupting his catchphrase. And Gargano says, yeah, most of the time Melo doesn't miss, but I've been here for 5 years. And Johnny Gargano in this ring is absolutely can't miss. So next week, triple threat match. You can't miss that. So yeah, I think this is pretty exciting. Melo, Pete Dunne, and Gargano. I think Carmelo sounds a lot better than Trick Williams. I think he sounds pretty good on the mic. Trick, I'm still not completely sold on. Gargano obviously always sounds pretty good. And Pete has definitely come a long way on the mic. But this is a match I'm really looking forward to, but makes me think that maybe this title's not going to be on the line at War Games.
No, I'm definitely looking forward to this happening next week. Yeah, I can see them not doing this match again, but I can see these guys being in a match in War Games, and we'll discuss that later. I agree with you as far as like Carmelo goes. Like, he's great, and he doesn't need Trick to talk for him at all. The one thing I do like with Trick is like he reminds me, and like you can go back and watch it, but he reminds me of Tyrese from Too Fast, Too Furious. He has the same like way he speaks and everything. Like, I feel like he might have studied that movie before he made this character. And then whenever him and Pete Dunne like interact with each other, I feel like Pete kind of bounces good off of Trick. I feel like it's pretty funny whenever he reacts to him. He even said a line like to Carmelo, he's like, "Oh, we're the same age, but I have 10 years more experience than you." Like, I thought that was a pretty good line. But yeah, Carmelo, I don't think he needs anybody to talk for him. But this match is going to be amazing. Dunne, Gargano, and Carmelo. I can't wait for this match.
Which way do you see it going? Do you see Carmelo retaining here?
I can see Carmelo retaining, yeah, but I can see like Dunne and Gargano kind of not being on the same page, or something happening between them two that causes like the loss. But Carmelo, I think he's going to retain by some underhanded tactics, possibly.
The one thing I found weird here is kind of the heel calling out for the triple threat. That's something you don't really get much, and I would say both Johnny and Pete are definitely the baby faces in this. So I did find that a bit odd, him calling for the match, but maybe he has some sort of plan to weasel out of it. We go backstage to the Diamond Mine with Malcolm Bivens. Malcolm Bivens says, we'll show you why we're the most dominant team in NXT, and Brutus and Julius will follow the great leadership of the Cruiserweight champion, Roderick Strong. And this is when Joe Gacy comes in and says to Roddy that as a leader, he should give him a shot. Malcolm Bivens says, if you want to join Diamond Mine, we're recruiting next month. It's $837 for a tryout. And he hands Joe Gacy a business card. So will we see Joe Gacy join the Diamond Mine?
Yeah, this is weird. Like, for some reason, like, Joe Gacy seemed interested as fact that people can try out for the Diamond Mine, but maybe not for himself. My first thought was maybe he's going to get that guy, I forgot his name, Harland?
Harland? Yeah.
Maybe he's going to try to get Harland to join the Diamond Mine or somehow get involved with them. Because I can see him kind of fit that style. He looks like that type of person. I think he was like one of the rumored names to be part of the Diamond Mine when they first like announced it. But it's like really kind of came out of left field, this whole Joe Gacy and Diamond Mine thing. But that's like the only thing we really saw of Gacy on the show. So should be interested in what's going to happen.
Yeah, a bit of an odd pairing. Joe Gacy with Diamond Mine, not something I was expecting. But yeah, it could be something for Harland there. We go to a LA Knight vignette where he says, people look at me and they make an opinion, but I could get rid of my fancy shirt, my watch, and all of that. Strip it all away because I came here for one goal. You can label me 1.0 or 2.0, but I'm only here to be NXT champion. Am I there yet? No. But I was on track until this Grayson Waller came along. And Waller can Instagram, swipe, TikTok, whatever, but you're looking at the one and only megastar here, and it ain't Grayson Waller. I got a sense over the course of the night, a bit of a double turn in this feud here between Waller and Knight.
For sure.
This seemed like LA Knight's fantastic promo, I think, but he was very much to the point here, and I mean, he even said, kind of strip it back, take off the shirt, take off the watch. He's here for one thing, and ultimately that's to be NXT champion. I quite like this promo.
Yeah, for sure. When I first started, I'm like, didn't we see this promo already? It seemed like kind of like similar to his old stuff, but then I could see like the babyface things that he was saying. The one thing that he said didn't make sense at all was he was like, since NXT 2.0 started, I started off on a good note. And if you remember, the first thing that happened on NXT 2.0 was him losing to Braun Breaker in the first match. So I'm not sure what he meant by he started off on a good foot that night. But other than that, the promo was good. I definitely got the same feeling that you did about the whole double turn, and we obviously saw some more with Grayson later.
I think maybe he meant more just being in the title match in the main event, but
I guess,
yeah. He lost twice on that night, so not the greatest start. We go to Diamond Mine versus everyone's favorite tag team, Jacket Time and Odyssey Jones. What did we come up with a team name for the Odyssey Jacket Jones? Jacket Time Jones. There we go. I didn't notice this last week with Jacket Time's entrance, but it says like, it's Jacket Time, Kushida, Ikemen, Jiro, it's Jacket Time.
I think I did hear that last week. They just it's themselves saying their own names like over and over again. I'm just like, oh God, what's going on right now?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jones wants to get in the ring right away, and him and Julius go at it. There's this big release suplex from Julius to Jiro. KUSHIDA comes in, lighting everyone up with his fast kicks, his excellent offense, this awesome-looking Pele kick, a handspring elbow, until Roderick Strong comes out and neutralizes him with an elbow to the back of the head. There's then an Olympic slam from Roddy to Jones, and then we come back from commercial break. It's all broken down with everyone brawling in the ring, and Odyssey Jones hits Roddy with a running splash, kind of like Killian Dane used to do, the Divide, to pick up the win. I can't say this match did much for me. Most of it was during commercial, and I don't understand why you're putting the Cruiserweight Championship on Roddy to then feud with someone who's clearly not a Cruiserweight. Put it on someone else if you're not going to use it properly. I don't know. I can't say I enjoyed this. Yeah, and I like a lot of the people involved.
Yeah, and Roderick Strong's been on his run on 205 Live. Like, as a Cruiserweight champion, he's actually been, like, defending the title. Not defending, but at least wrestling on 205 Live, like, pretty much on a weekly basis. And a couple of those matches were with Odyssey Jones. And the whole, like, joke from, like, Malcolm Bivens was, you can't get a title shot or whatever. But he's always been losing. So now for him to get an actual win, it's like, okay, so what happens now? Like, he can't get the title shot. So what are they going to lead to? So I'm on the same page as you. Like, I'm not sure what they're going to do here. I still can't get over the Creed brothers, like, ring gear. Ever since you guys mentioned it, I don't like it. It just looks really weird with the diamonds. The match was okay. It was fine. I'm more intrigued on what's going to happen with the whole Joe Gacy and Diamond Mine thing. I think they might kind of like end this whole Roderick Odyssey little feud that they have and move on to whatever they're doing with Gacy and Harland.
Yeah, I hope so, because I just don't see much direction here. And I mean, do we eventually go back to Roddy KUSHIDA? Are we going to get a new challenger there? It just seems I can't say this feud is doing much for anyone involved. We go to Grizzled Young Veterans, who are backstage with the women's tag titles, and Zack Gibson calls his nan and FaceTiming his nan, saying, "You're looking at the new tag team champions, and we owe this victory to you," and says that. And as they hang up, they're talking and says, you see, telling Nan that we've won the tag championships means that it ensures that we get the lion's share of the inheritance in the will. And as they walk off, you see this whiteboard with kind of a diagram of how to con Nan. I think it's called Nan Con. And there are also just two random people asleep on the couch behind them. I didn't make out who this was. Did you catch this, John?
I did catch it. It's funny because recently in NXT UK, I feel like it's like a running joke now. Whenever somebody does a promo in NXT UK, it's like in the backstage, like cafeteria or break room, whatever they have, and there's always something weird or funny happening in the background. I've noticed like somebody eating, somebody like making funny faces. So I'm wondering if they're gonna start doing this on regular NXT, where it's like these little random Easter eggs in the background to like make the boys pop or whatever. I don't know what it is. But when this started, like I was like a little slow to register everything. So I'm like, oh, cool, they changed the tag team titles, and I'm like, wait, these aren't the tag team champions. It took me a second to register that these are the women's titles. Like, oh, I see what they're doing now. But yeah, he was trying to get inheritance from his grandma. Like it was, I don't know what was going on with this. But I thought I was confused as you were about the people on the couch. I was more intrigued on who is that? Like, what's gonna happen with those people on the couch? And we never got back to it.
So this is second week of these kind of GYV vignettes. What do you make of it so far?
They're okay. I don't know what character development. I know you kind of tried to explain it last week. It's like a stereotype for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, this played into it. Even the calling the Nan thing is like a bit of a Liverpool stereotype as well. So
I'm intrigued to see how far they're gonna go with this. I mean, they seem like they're gonna do some dastardly things. So
I think this could be fun. I'm getting like Los Guerreros vibes with this, but with a Scouser. Like I think both have a pretty good personality and good comic timing. So I think this could work. And if they can play it into their matches somehow, being a bit more creative with ways to cheat, I think it could be fun. If it's going to be just same old stuff we've seen before, cheating wise, you need to be creative with this, I think. And then it will pay off. We go to another wacky vignette. It's MSK at the airport, and they're fighting over who has to take through a certain bag through security. I wonder what could be in there. It gets flagged for supplies, and they're then talking about this shaman that they're going to meet, and they're saying that they hope he's better than advertised. And Wes Lee says that he managed to get $1,500 worth of food vouchers, 4,000 air miles, and an upgrade to first class seats. Nash Carter's like, well, hang on, I'm not switching flights. So they both go on separate flights to visit the shaman. And as they arrive, Wesley says that he was sat next to a master of tag teams on his flight. What the fuck is going on here?
Well, no, he was sitting next to somebody who knew the shaman, and he told them about the shaman, about how the shaman is a master of tag teaming and a borderline revolutionary. So I'm like trying to figure out who he's talking about. Master of tag teaming. I don't know. Is it Marty Jannetty? Like who? I honestly don't know who this person is. Like it's so random. Like, and where do they even fly to? Did they even say where they flew to? No, they just got on the plane and flew, right?
Yeah, they didn't say where they're going. I mean, who are some of the like tag team like producers you have? Like, is Devon still there? Like, could it be Reverend Devon?
Devon's there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who else is backstage right now. They got with the Shane Helms, the Hurricane Shane Helms is there. You got Teddy Long. Somebody said in the chat room. So I don't know. He always makes tag team matches. It's gotta be like a joke, right? It's gotta be like a joke person at the end. It can't be somebody like serious. I love the Meiko Satomura idea. I mean, she's not a master of tag teaming, but she's the mother of the MSK kids, because they tease what MSK stood for. So I'm hoping the payoff is this leads to the reveal of what MSK stands for, at least.
I don't think we'll ever find out. I think they'll always tease it. But yeah, these aren't really doing a whole lot for me. I don't find them particularly funny. But I guess I do at least have a little bit of intrigue. Who is the shaman?
The problem with NXT is every character, with the exception of maybe like Pete Dunne, has like a gimmick or some sort of like comedic element to them right now. And it's like none of them are really like paying off. They're just like little like skits that we have in between the matches, and half of them don't really register with me. So that's like the main issue is like, why force this? Like, why can't we just have guys that love to wrestle? With the exception of Pete Dunne. Hopefully like they keep them like that. But everybody else is like, you know, on a mission to do this or playing some prank over here or dancing over here. Like, I don't know why.
No, I completely agree. I think isolated, some of these I wouldn't mind so much, but we literally just went from the Grizzled Young Veterans segment to this thing. It's a lot. And as you say, all of them are doing comedy stuff. There's so many of these vignettes where having one a week for different people is okay, but it's it's a lot of the show is made up of this. But I think we sound like a broken record at this point with NXT 2.0. We go to Andre Chase taking on Zion Quinn. Zion gets him in an armlock early, and Andre Chase does the kind of classic escape of the armlock where you kind of duck your head under it and then kind of kip up out, and then does the helicopter around his back, kind of mocking him. No, not that kind of helicopter. I can hear Braden laughing right now in my ear. But, you know, the spinning round kind of classic amateur wrestling style. And it kind of looked like he was, obviously he's doing this to kind of teach his students, but it looked like he was also deliberately, as the performer, doing it badly, like making it look a little shitty. Mm-hmm. There's then an atomic drop from Zion Quinn, followed by a clothesline. Then Quinn runs headfirst into the ring post and gets met by a swinging neck breaker from Chase for a 2 count. Quinn then hits his spinning Samoan drop. Chase is trying to elbow out of it, but Zion hits it anyway, and then picks up Chase for the jackhammer. 1, 2, 3. Again, a bit of a squash, nothing match. It's cool. They clearly like Zion Quinn and are putting a lot behind him, but I'd like to see him do a bit more than this. We've seen him for a few weeks now, just a pretty one-sided match, and I'm ready to see what else he's capable of at this point.
Yeah, the match didn't really do nothing for me. The only things I got out of this match is Wade was calling Zion Quinn a mimbo, and he explained to Beth Phoenix that's a male bimbo. It's called a mimbo. I kept thinking Andre Chase just looks like Mr. Rogers. Like, something about his outfit it doesn't do anything for me. And he was actually getting a lot of boos today, which is weird because he has a little section in the crowd. But he was trying to get them behind him. He was like stomping and like spelling out Chase U at one point. But the fans were really like booing Andre Chase like more than usual. They weren't really behind him. But the match was pretty much only there to set up the after-match antics.
So after the match, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza run out and beat down on Zion Quinn. And this is when Santos Escobar makes his great return and continues to beat down on Quinn as Legado are holding Quinn back, and Elektra Lopez comes out and grabs him by the beard and says, "No one says no to Elektra Lopez." And they finish off by slamming him on the ramp. So I guess we're building to Escobar Quinn, and maybe that's where we'll get to see a bit more of what Quinn is capable of. But good to see Santos back, because I know it's always a worry these days when someone disappears from NXT TV for a few weeks.
Yeah, especially when it was just Mendoza and Joaquin out there. The whole time I'm like, oh my God, where's Santos? Why are they doing this again? Like, they don't even mention him. Like, I got so scared, and then boom, here he comes as a surprise. They're definitely going to lead to Santos and Quinn, but for some reason, like the way that Elektra Lopez was looking at him, like it looked like she kind of had some sort of like regret in a way. So I feel like there might still be more to that. Like, I feel like she might not be like 100% against Zion Quinn. I could see her possibly still holding on and having feelings to him, possibly happening. So I see there's more to that actual Elektra Zion thing. But, you know, I was thinking like maybe in the long run, if like Zion Quinn doesn't work out as like a single star, I could possibly see him teaming up with Solo Sikoa. I feel like they two, obviously they're both Samoan, but I feel like they both would pretty much have a good chemistry with each other there. Put them together in a tag team, so I can see that possibly happening down the road. Because he kept getting, you know, beat up 3-1, right? So I'm thinking in my head, who could come out and help him? The first person that popped in my head was Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, those two versus the Creed brothers down the line could be pretty entertaining. We go backstage to Raquel Gonzalez, who says she hasn't had a good night's sleep since just before Halloween Havoc. She used to take that women's title around with her everywhere, but one shovel shot to the back, and Dakota took that all away from me. And I will deal with Mandy, but that will be another time. Dakota, you were jealous of my success because you knew you couldn't beat me. Well, make sure you bring that shovel with you, because I'm going to bury you with it. Just setting up the main event for tonight, but I think Raquel's starting to sound a lot more confident in her promos.
And in case you don't know that Vic Joseph is dating Mackenzie Mitchell, when Mackenzie's like, back to you, Vic, Vic goes, thanks, babe. I'm like, all right, we know Vic. You don't have to tell us every week. We're well aware, and he's recently engaged to her, so congratulations, Vic. But he needs to really remind us every week that he's dating Mackenzie Mitchell. So good for you, Vic. Good for you, Vic.
It's funny because you listen to Raw and Carmella comes out and Corey is just like, oh my God, she's the most beautiful woman. She's so hot. And then Vic Joseph is just like, thanks, babe.
It's a cool NXT. You know what? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, everyone's fucking in NXT. Siino.
Well, I was gonna say because I heard reports today that they might be switching over like from PG to TV14. So if they take it to TV14, whoa, we're really gonna see some hot and steamy stuff, aren't we?
We'll get to see what was going on that couch behind Grizzled Young Vets. That's all coming next week.
That could be the start of it. We could find out who that was.
We go to the event we've all been waiting for. It's the Poker Room Showdown between Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson. And I gotta say that this kind of did pop me at the beginning. You got Alicia Taylor, who is announcing the rules. It's No Limit, Texas Hold'em, and they have the graphic come up explaining the rules, and it just reminded me like when it's War Games and you have Alicia Taylor like running down all the rules. She's just saying the rules of poker here. We're having a full poker match in a wrestling ring on a wrestling show. Why not? She wishes both competitors luck, and Duke says luck is for losers. This is my room, and these are my cards and my chips, and I'm gonna make you my bitch. Grimes replies, you're nervous. You're sweating like Shaq at the 3-throw line. And last week, everyone was chanting, you got played, you got played. And the NXT crowd all chant along. So we go to the game. Grimes goes first, and he calls $500. Duke raises his $500 to $1,000, and Grimes calls it. So we go to the flop, and we get the 5 of hearts, the Jack of hearts, and the 10 of hearts. Duke Hudson has the 5 of clubs and 5 of diamonds, so he's got 3 of a kind right now. And the way they're doing this, they've got all the little graphics on the screen, so you can actually see what cards they have, what their percentage chance of winning is, that kind of thing. Grimes has a king of spades and a 3 of spades. So Grimes puts in 1,000, and Duke raises his 1,000 to 4,000. The queen of spades is drawn next, and we see that Duke Hudson has an 82% chance of winning with, I guess, he's got 3 of a kind right now, and Grimes is looking for, I think, a straight and a flush he could get, potentially. But Grimes calls him again. So it's then the final card is laid down. It's the 7 of hearts. You've got Grimes calling 2,000. Duke calls... just before the 7 of hearts. This is weird. I'm calling a poker match here. Just before the 7 of hearts is pulled. Duke calls it. So there's now 18,000 in the pot. The 7 of hearts comes out. We see that Grimes has nothing. His flush, his straight didn't come through. Duke has the best hand with a 100% chance of winning, but Grimes goes all in and says, Duke, you have everything in your power to be a star, but when it comes to it, you just don't have the balls for it. And you can see Duke is starting to freak out. He's like, I can see that smile. You've got that same smile as last week. You've got the flush, right? You've got the flush. And Duke doesn't want to risk it. He's living to die another day. And he folds, meaning Cameron Grimes wins the hand. And Grimes says, I didn't even know you could fold. And Duke is obsessed. He's desperate to know what Grimes had in his hand. And Duke grabs the cards and sees he got played. He sees Grimes was bluffing. There's chance of you got played. And Duke is so mad that he picks up Grimes and power bombs him through a table. Through the whole poker table. What a meanie. Duke then goes to under the ring and grabs a toolbox. At first, he grabs a hammer, but thinks against it. He's not going to bludgeon this guy to death. Instead, he grabs a pair of scissors, gets into the ring, and cuts off the beard and the long locks of Cameron Grimes. Okay, the poker segment. John, what did you make of this? Do you watch poker to start with? Do you play poker? Do you understand poker?
Occasionally, I'm not like a big time person, but I'm never the person to actually watch a poker tournament. My brother was really big into that. But if NXT 2.0 ever becomes a poker show and you have to do upNXT, I guess you'd have the right voice for it. I was actually like impressed with this. It was a lot better than I expected. Like, I think everybody involved made it good. Like, even like on commentary, like Beth just whispering to Wade and telling each other to be quiet, and Beth is like, "Is that good? Is that good?" Like asking about the poker hands. Like, that was really good. And then like Alicia Taylor, when she's like announcing the cards, she's announcing them as if they're wrestlers. She's like, "The Queen of Spades," and I'm like, it was like over the top and the graphics and everything. But I think Duke and Cameron was really good. Cameron with the whole like, what do you have, raisins or cantaloupes? And Duke looked like he was actually like nervous and sweating. It wasn't good, don't get me wrong, but it was entertaining. It was a lot better than I expected it to be, to have an actual poker game in the middle of the ring and to make it somewhat engaging.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't really know why we're at a point where we're having poker games on a wrestling show, but we are. And I think what they did with it was actually pretty good. I can't see how you'd have done this much better. I did like the little details, having the graphics, having the percentages, kind of like you see on like the poker on TV.
Yep.
I mean, Duke is a terrible poker player. Like, from what we've seen, that this is meant to be his thing, and he can't read this guy at all. But
it even threw up on the screen like he had a 100% chance of winning, just to like throw that out there to people that aren't too familiar with poker. The graphics themselves made it easy for us to understand the scenario, even if you had no idea what was going on. Exactly.
Yeah, I think Cameron Grimes is fantastic, and pretty much anything you throw at this guy, he makes it work. I think as a performer, he's so engaging. He's genuinely naturally funny, so makes these segments work. The thing is, we've had these segments from him for a whole year now, and it felt like we were going to get a bit of a graduation of this character and kind of move up a little bit and go for some more serious titles or stuff. But he's just stuck, unfortunately, in another thing like this. And I think both him and Duke are good. I thought the segment, I quite enjoyed it. It's not really what I want in wrestling, but it is what it is, and I thought they did a good job. And at least now it's got a bit more serious, I guess, with the scissors, the hair cutting. So, I mean, does this lead us to some sort of hair versus hair match?
I think so, because he cut just enough to be more like, he only trimmed the beard and like cut off some of the hair, so there still should be a lot left there. So maybe they're gonna lead up to an actual like hair versus hair match. I can see that happening.
Or maybe he's got to put his hair on the line in a poker game.
Yeah.
We're never going to get a wrestling match between these two, just poker. We go backstage to Kyle O'Reilly with Von Wagner. And Kyle says, "Oh, well, if it isn't Adam Pearce's bodyguard. Hey, I saw you on SmackDown. But I don't care what you do on Fridays. It's what we do on Tuesdays that count. Because it's Tuesdays, we go to work. So let's handle business." The coolest guys in the room.
Oh God, the way he said it, he's like, "I saw you on SmackDown," like he's in trouble or something. It was just like, oh my God, like I don't like just you reading it just made it a lot worse than it actually was. Like the fact that he was like, oh,
no, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
I'm just like, oh God, but like I think I made this joke too, like because we didn't talk about Von Wagner randomly appearing on SmackDown. So like my joke was when they had the dark match last week with Kyle and Johnny Gargano, Von Wagner must have been there just like in the background, and Vince must have been like, "I don't care about you, Kyle. Who's that guy behind you?" And then there you go. He's booked on SmackDown the next week as Pierce's bodyguard. But maybe this gets Von Wagner a spot in the actual Survivor Series team. There's an empty spot on one of the teams, right? Is it on SmackDown for Sami Zayn?
Sami Zayn's out, right? Yeah, true. Yeah,
so I can see him just popping in there, and maybe this is good for Kyle. I don't know. Maybe it's terrible for Kyle. Who knows at this point?
I mean, if Wagner is moving up, does that maybe tip you off that maybe this is because Kyle's going? So
or Or Kyle becomes Von Wagner's manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It is very odd. I mean, we see this all the time with NXT, that people are just plucked up at any point, but this guy's only just started there and they've only just started this team. It does make you wonder if perhaps Kyle's on his way and therefore let's just move this guy. I don't know. But yeah, these two do not have chemistry, unfortunately. They're pretty cringy, these segments. And that leads us to our next tag match. It's Briggs and Jensen taking on Kyle and Von. 4 guys who just like hanging out in forests and cutting trees and drinking beer. Briggs, Jensen, Kyle, Von. Briggs and Wagner are in the room and do some big man just shoving each other around, punching each other. Wagner comes in with this big shoulder tackle. Now Kyle and Jensen are going at it. And Jensen comes in with some clotheslines in the corner, followed by a bear hug. And then Jensen is charging at the ropes. Wagner low bridges, sending Jensen to the outside. Kyle follows up with his running knee off the apron to Jensen. And then Wagner slams Briggs to pick up the win. Siino.
Yeah, I couldn't get into this match. When Kyle's in the ring with any one of these 3 men, I just totally check out. And this is weird because I used to follow Josh Briggs on Evolve. He was the Evolve champion. I wasn't like a huge fan of him, but I actually like enjoyed watching him. Now when he shows up on my screen, I'm just like, when is this over? I don't even know these guys' names. The Briggs Jensen and Jensen Briggs. Like I can't like, I don't like these guys. I really don't. I hate to say this, but Kyle should be all elite. I'm gonna do the Braden Harrington for once on this episode.
Braden, I didn't think you were here. Well, where are you?
He needs to join his friends. To be real though, like with everything that's going on with the Elite and Adam Cole over there, I can see him perfectly fitting in the storyline and feuding with them. He doesn't deserve to be in this spot at all. Like, what are you gonna do with him? Even if Von Wagner gets called up, what are you gonna do with Kyle in NXT? Like, make him world champion at this point? I feel like you already like messed him up to the point where you can't even put him on a world title scene.
He's cooled off massively. Like I wouldn't. I mean, it's Kyle O'Reilly, so you're putting him in there against Ciampa. I think you're gonna buy it at the end of the day, and you're gonna want to see that match. But as a character, he's majorly cooled off, and I think you're right. I think he's got to go because I just can't see him at all in this company at the moment as it is. He seems below Von Wagner. That's what's a shame here. It's not like he's mentoring this guy. It's Wagner's helping him out. He's his big mate who's getting him out of trouble all the time. It's really not working. And this match did nothing. Again, there was barely anything to it. Briggs and Jensen just do not have it for me. At least not at the moment, and not with this gimmick. This was a low point for me on the show for sure. We see Imperium backstage, and this is all subtitled. They say, "Looks like they are getting better," referring to Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. "Better, but not on our level. No one is better. They have a better chance getting a security job around here than being tag team champions." Mwahahaha. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be our next big tag title match, is these two taking on Imperium.
Possibly at War Games. I can see that match happening.
Yeah, definitely. I like that they're subtitling these guys, but also, like, how are you having live subtitles here? For like a backstage interview that could have been recorded earlier in the day, but this is a live reaction to the match that's just happened, and some psychic is just translating it all at the same time on the subtitles.
Reading the script. You know, they gave away that they're all reading from a script, so that's how they do it.
Fair enough. I'm really nitpicking there, but it is funny. It's like WWE refused to use subtitles for so long, and even when they do, it's like, it's not quite how it works, but okay. We see Indy and Persia. Indy is devastated about her man, Sexy Dexy, his hand potentially being broken by Carmelo and Trick, and she wants to check on her husband, but she's about to have a match with Persia in the tag division. But Persia says, "You go to your man, I got this." and we see Persia just kind of looking serious as Indy goes to check on Dexter. Any comments on this, or shall I move on?
I mean, the one thing I'll say is, for some reason, I never trusted Persia. I feel like since day one, she's always been like up to no good. I'm not sure if it's just the way she looks or the way she acts, but I feel like she's gonna, at the end of the day, do something and screw over Indy. She's being way too nice. Friends, there's no friends that are that nice. You know, I feel like she's gonna do something evil.
Yeah. She looked kind of suspicious at the end with that look. We go to everyone's favorite talk show, Lashing Out with Lash Legend. And she says, Lash Legend says, Kaylee Ray, you had the audacity to interrupt the Toxic Attraction celebration. And I saw that look in your eye that says something's about to get messed up. You gotta know it's 3 of them and and Grayson Waller comes in, interrupting her. And he says, hey, I want to spill the tea. This is where I come to spill the tea, right? Well, I heard what LA Knight said about me. About I need to pay my dues while driving 500 miles to do some indie job for a hot dog and a handshake like all these veterans. That ain't gonna do it for me. I just entered a reality TV show and sent in a video, and now I'm here. The era of that is dead. It's all about swipes and likes now. And Knight, you keep on asking whose game it is. Well, the game's changed, and it's mine now. I think this is the right direction, because this character has been so annoying that I feel they need to embrace this heel role. And I love if we're building towards this 1.0 versus 2.0, which it kind of feels like the direction it's going. I like that he's playing this character kind of shitting on all these the remnants of the indie people who are still left at NXT, the indie vets. Everyone else is gone, and he's just, you losers going around for a handshake and a hot dog.
And they picked they picked the perfect like place for him to do this too, because you have like those produced boos from the audience at Lashing Out where you see them booing. So in your head, you're already registering, okay, we're supposed to boo this guy. He's supposed to be a bad guy. And then like, it's funny because he was saying the same lines a couple weeks ago when he was a babyface, and it was kind of more like go away, heat, like, oh, why are you saying that? But now it makes sense if he's going to be a heel saying these things, and obviously it's going to play off with what we think is the idea for the main event for War Games. So it made perfect sense for him to come out here and do this. And they even planted the seeds with the whole Kaylee Ray thing. Like she was mentioning, like her going 3-on-1 against Toxic Attraction. I think that's going to lead into some more as well. So I actually didn't mind this segment at all. It made like that double turn, I guess, solidified.
This was, definitely the best use of Lashing Out, which I really have not been a fan of. It's felt just like a segment because they go, I want to have a chat show, but there's been no real direction with it. Whereas now I think I like the idea of Grayson Waller just kind of storming onto this chat show set to say his piece. I thought it's the best this has worked, and definitely this is a way better fit for Grayson Waller. And he sounds good. I think he sounds very confident on the mic, and this character is just going to suit him way better.
You know what's funny? Because we're talking about him, we're talking about Persia. Just being Australian, you have to be a heel, right? Every Australian that I know is a heel, right? You got Persia, you have Grayson Waller, you got Dickie Bird. They're all heels.
True. Poor Dickie. He's technically a Kiwi.
I know.
He's technically a Kiwi. He
I'm saying that. I said that purposely just to get him upset.
Someone called me Irish today at work. Oh, there's so many Irish coming over these days. I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, young Irish lads like yourself coming over here. I'm like, I'm definitely not Irish.
That I just found out today. I found out that Eddie Kingston was half Irish, half Puerto Rican. I had no idea. I thought he was like something else. I don't know what Eddie Kingston was, to be honest. But I didn't expect him to be Irish and Puerto Rican.
Oh, I had no idea. No, that's cool. Yeah. All right. So we go to our handicap match. It's Persia Pirotta. Obviously, her partner, Indy, is checking on her man. And she's taking on the team of, I believe, Gabby Stevens and Jenna Levy. Yes. Am I correct, John?
Yes,
Tell me about these two.
This is the part of the episode where Braden Harrington texts me and says, Who are these girls? And it's funny because I actually recognize both of these girls right away. I'm not sure who was who. I'm guessing Jenna Levy was Valentina Rossi, who's appeared on AEW Dark multiple times, and actually like she has a very like Sopranos like mafioso type of character. And I tweeted out to her a couple weeks ago. I'm like, listen, you need to be on NXT with Tony D'Angelo. You'd be perfect with him because they have like the same type of gimmick. And boom, here she is like on NXT now. She actually appeared as like Grayson Waller's date a couple weeks ago. Remember when he was on Tinder and he went on a date? That was who he was with. And the other girl was actually Casey Lennox, who's also been doing indies. And she was on AEW Dark. And you know who she was? Do you remember back at TakeOver 31 when there was like commentary and people swore that was Sasha Banks? That's who that was. That was her. That was Casey Lennox. So she actually was the other person here. So yeah, good to see two familiar faces, I guess, to me. And listeners of Shot in the Dark, I guess, might recognize them. But yeah, this is just a squash match for Persia. But
yeah, it was just another squash match on this show. We do see Robert Stone is out there scouting, having... he's lost his whole team now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Aaliyah's on SmackDown. Frankie's unemployed.
Jesse's gone. Yeah,
Jesse's gone.
Yeah,
Mercedes left a while ago.
Don't join him. Whatever you do, Persia.
Don't join. Well, Aaliyah's on SmackDown, so she's doing okay, I guess. Yeah. We get these big boots from Persia, a Samoan drop to both Jenna and Gabby at the same time, and then a huge kind of sit-out face-buster, like an X-Factor from Persia to pick up the win as Robert Stone is clapping with approval on the outside. But yeah, again, a pretty nothing match here, just a squash, making Persia look very dominant. What have your thoughts been on Persia so far?
She's been okay. This is the first time we've seen her like in I guess singles action. I guess you can consider it that. She's okay. Like she was one of the names that like before she signed, like there was a lot of hype about her, like from her time in I guess Australia wrestling scene. She was like a really big name. So I'm just waiting for her to like have that breakout moment, but it's not really coming here. I think she needs to be heel. I think she needs to like turn on Indy and go and embrace the heelness, and I think she might do a little bit better there. I feel like she's just being like that forced friend. Like they introduced her at the wedding shower, like that was her role. Like she's I'm a friend visiting here, and next thing you know she's wrestling. Like it was really weird. I feel like she just needs to go full heel and really embrace that character. And I feel like then we'll appreciate her a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definite potential with her. Obviously her size is a big part, and when Raquel eventually kind of moves up to Raw or SmackDown, like you need that kind of big woman role, and I think she'd be great. We still haven't seen enough of her in ring, other than kind of these big dominant sort of squashes. So I'm curious to see more, and I definitely think a heel turn down the line, as you said, will help. Dakota Kai is being interviewed, and she says, ever since our match at TakeOver, I've been lost. I don't know who I am. My mind has been cloudy. And the only way of moving on is by purging my past. It all started at Halloween Havoc. And Mandy walks in and says, and it all ends tonight. Dakota, and then this is where Dakota reminds her, you don't owe me once, you owe me twice. And then the Grizzled Young Vets come in with the women's tag team titles and gives them back to Toxic Attraction, blaming it on some tech guy who took them. And that's when Zack Gibson says to James Drake, look, when you need to lie, you need to hide the lie right next to the truth to make it a bit more believable. So Gibson just teaching Drake how to be a bit of a scumbag a bit more. Dakota, again, showing a bit of signs of this new character, kind of the twitchy Dakota. What are your thoughts of this? We've seen this the last couple of weeks now.
I'm not really feeling it, to be honest with you. It seems like too reminiscent of like when Nikki Cross was doing it, like back in NXT, and just I don't know, it doesn't really fit her. I feel like something about it, but I feel like they don't know what to do with Dakota Kai. Like every week she's like having a dark match on SmackDown, so it's like, are they going to bring her up or they're not going to bring her up? Like nobody really knows. I feel like after War Games, either her or Raquel or maybe both of them are going to be called up at that point. But I feel like they're just trying to just tweak with her character, try to find something. But it's like if you take this character, right, and you put it up on SmackDown, it's not going to make any sense. Like it only fits now in this storyline with Raquel. I feel like it wouldn't be like a good standalone gimmick. Like I would just the way she was when she first turned heel, it was perfect. She was this badass girl that was kicking ass. Leave her like that. Like why do this like character change where she's twitching and talking all nonsense? I don't know.
I agree, and she was tapping into some great promos leading up to her takeover match with Raquel, and you don't need this. It kind of does feel like she's treading water a bit, like she was perhaps going to be called up, and then they're putting a pause on it, and we've got War Games coming up, so let's just put her back with Raquel, because that's an easy feud we can kind of, like, heat back up. But I love Dakota. I think she's great, and I think her delivery is good on her promos, but this twitchy, unstable thing really isn't working. We see a lot of these characters, and we've seen a lot of them recently with, like, Alexa Bliss going through all this, and as you said, Nikki Cross in NXT. It's not really what I want from Dakota. Tommaso Ciampa is backstage doing one of his kind of self-filmed promos on a steel chair, and he said, when the NXT 2.0 started, it crowned the new and greatest NXT champion, and I've defended it multiple times. I defended it at Halloween Havoc. I defended it in the UK, but I'm sensing from the new guys there's a lack of integrity and a lack of respect. And screw this, I'm going to say it in the ring, as he slams his chair. And as he's talking about integrity and respect, we cut to Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter at a rave.
I every week, like, I don't know if I love these girls or if I hate them, because, like, they're supposed to be like heels, right? I don't even know at this point. Like,
I don't know.
In the crowd, were these the two girls that were on the couch, like, passed out earlier? Like, it could have been them, right?
This is after the EDC festival, them just, like, finally passing out.
You know what? Good for Kacy. She's single. She's got to go out there and just party in this world now, you know? Like, she doesn't want... I don't think she wants to be in NXT right now because her... I won't get into it, but go to social media. But, like, these characters are just, like, so annoying. Like, I don't know. It's just... But I'm kind of enjoying it because it's like, what are they going to do now? Just bouncing around, just dancing all the time. It's so stupid, but it's like, all right, fine, whatever. It got a chuckle out of me.
So, yeah, they were at this EDC festival, and we're just seeing clips of them at this festival, and they're explaining why they love these raves and these festivals. It's all about having fun and being with thousands of people, off your face on MDMA, just dancing and living your life. They didn't quite say all that. But they say, we are the life of the party, and we're bringing the party to everyone. I did actually notice they were posting a lot from this festival on social media this week. So it's definitely their new gimmick. They're now the ravers. I think it would have made sense to have shown this maybe before they did their entrance last week. So then they kind of come back and they're like, you know, they've got their new look from the rave they're at. But sure, I find this incredibly annoying. But
you know what? I'm gonna do the reverse Braden. I'm gonna say, instead of people going to AEW, I'm gonna say AEW people that go to NXT. So Jack Evans and Angelico, they're not using them right. They're not even in the Hardy Family office anymore. The Hybrid 2.0, whatever they're called, they should be 2.0. The Hybrid 2, there we go. TH2, TH 2.0. Put them on NXT, have them dancing with Kacy and Kayden at all the festivals.
Kacy and Kayden.
There we go. All four of them could be dancing around. That'd be perfect. Teach him the dance, and how I go. Teach him the little shimmy he does. Perfect.
Love it. Ciampa comes to the ring and he says, I want to vent. It's guys like Mello each and every week actually trying to convince himself that he's holding on to the A title. And there's a chant of Goldie from the crowd. Mello ain't going to take a shot in my direction because he knows not only is he going to miss, but he's going to airball. And then there's Grayson Waller moaning about the indies and a handshake and a hot dog. But when I tell you, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do with my hot dog, Grayson. And that's when Bron Breakker comes out and he says, Ciampa, you can't stand it that there's a new crop of talent coming here. That means nothing to me. The one thing you should be worried about is me, because I'm going to run through you and take that NXT championship. And Ciampa says, wow, that was powerful. I'm sure somewhere there's a guy in a truck who can pull up footage and show the end of Halloween Havoc. It seems like you need a little reminder. And we see exactly that. The highlights from Halloween Havoc with Ciampa beating Bron Breakker in the NXT Championship match. Ciampa goes, that was 1, 2, 3. Well, you've got a less than 33.3 chance of ever taking the NXT title from me. At the end of the day, you're just a puppy, and I'm the NXT champion. I think Bron is great, actually. His delivery, his intensity, he's awesome. And Ciampa, as always, is great. I loved the little Steiner math we had here as well.
Yeah, I would love to see like the Steiners make an appearance. I heard that like Rick Steiner was supposed to show up at the last Halloween Havoc, but whatever happened didn't happen. But yeah, this is great. And Braun Breaker just looks, every time I see him, he looks bigger and bigger. This guy, like I don't know what's going on, but he looks huge tonight. But this, I like this whole exchange they had with Ciampa. The whole like segment, him calling out all these new guys and sticking hot dogs up his ass or whatever for Grayson. It was good.
Yeah, who else did
really
he
good.
mentioned?
Carmelo.
He mentioned Trick.
Yep.
He mentioned Grayson Waller, and he mentioned Tony D'Angelo. I think.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. All the young guys.
We got to be going 1.0 versus 2.0, right? For War Games?
I think so. And 2.0 is gonna win. That's gonna be like the nail in the coffin. Like these old guys are out of here. There's the 2.0 taking over. I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah.
We see Tamara Mensah Stock ringside, who won gold at the Tokyo Olympics for wrestling, and she looked quite emotional here as everyone was chanting for her. So making her NXT 2.0 debut. And that leads us to our main event of the evening. It's Raquel Gonzalez taking on Dakota Kai. The match starts with them brawling on the outside. Raquel is slamming her into the plexiglass onto the floor. And then there's a nasty kick to the face from Kai to Raquel. Gonzalez starts beating down on Kai in the corner. And Dakota seems to be smiling as she's absorbing these kicks. And then Gonzalez just bends Dakota over her shoulder in kind of modified torture rack and runs her face first into the turnbuckle. Dakota makes a bit of a comeback with a super kick on the floor and then a face wash in the ropes and goes for a pin, but only a 2 count. And you can see Kai is starting to get frustrated. There's a double choke bomb from Raquel. And I got to say, the crowd, these last 2 weeks for the main event have been really, really hot. And they were really getting into this match. You got dueling chants for both Raquel and Kai. Dakota then, as she's trying to struggle out from Raquel's grip, she pulls the bottom turnbuckle off. Gonzalez then hits her kind of twisting Vader bomb for a 2 count. She goes for the Chingona bomb, but Dakota rolls through with a sunset flip for a 2 count. She goes for her scorpion kick, but this gets caught by Gonzalez and she's put in a stretch muffler, which now Raquel is just spinning Kai all around the place and the crowd are going nuts. Kai then sends Gonzalez face first into the exposed turnbuckle, goes to the outside and grabs the shovel. However, Raquel wrestles it off of her, is about to use it on Kai when Toxic Attraction run out and start the beatdown on Raquel Gonzalez. We get a super kick from Dakota, and then Cora Jade runs out for the save, but gets beaten down by Toxic Attraction. Zoe Stark's music then hits, and out comes Zoe, limping with her crutches, strapped up knee, and you see Dakota Kai and Toxic Attraction kind of standing tall like, what are you gonna do? When Io's music hits, Io Shirai, the genius of the sky, comes out, grabs one of Zoe Stark's crutch, runs the ring, and starts brawling, just smacking everyone with the crutch. There's a DDT to JC Jane from Cora on the skateboard, and the crowd chant, War Games. Io then grabs the mic and confirms, War Games! And that's how the show ends.
Yeah, the main event, it wasn't, it was just a way to set up this War Games match that we're obviously going to get. It was a little bit sloppy. A lot of the action at the end, it made me think, okay, these are the women that are going to be in War Games. There's a couple spots that were kind of blown here or there. There was an empty spot because you had Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai against Cora Jade, Raquel, and Io Shirai. So you had that one spot that was supposed to be for Zoe Stark, which by the promo earlier from Lash Legend, it's got to be Kaylee Ray because she was talking about, 3-on-1 scenario, who you're going to get to help you. So I'm guessing she has to be the 4th spot for the women's War Games match.
That makes sense because they've already teased Mandy and Kaylee Ray, so that makes complete sense.
And you need somebody like Kaylee Ray in this match for sure. Like all the stuff that's going on, all these people that are in the match, somebody like Kaylee can definitely help out and make someone like Toxic Attraction look a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, you can have Kaylee this is how she gets her title shot. She pins Mandy in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. The brawl was pretty sloppy, and I do worry with Gigi, JC, Cora in this. It's a big match to do, War Games, and I don't think you can just shove anyone in there. But hopefully they can prove wrong. But it does look not the strongest set of people you could have for this kind of match.
For sure. So if this is the match we're going to get with the women 4-on-4. So for the men, I know they announced for next week you're going to get Ciampa versus Grayson Waller. So for that match, War Games, it's got to be what? It's got to be Ciampa, Gargano, Pete Dunne,
Ciampa,
and LA Knight.
I think so.
Against what? Grayson Waller,
Grayson
Tony
Waller,
maybe?
Carmelo Hayes, Bron Breakker, and
D'Angelo?
You could do D'Angelo, you could do Trick Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have
Either
D'Angelo there. I think makes sense, right?
D'Angelo and Trick can kind of be on the outside. He can get involved somehow, but not officially be in the match.
That works.
Yeah,
you can have him outside, and then like Dexter Lumis makes his comeback and kind of like scares him away or something. Yeah, you could have him get involved on the outside. That makes sense.
Yeah, you can do that. You can also do 5-on-5. Why not? They've done 3-on-3 before, haven't they? They've done 4-on-4.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they've only been doing the 4-on-4 because of kind of Undisputed Era have done it every year. But if you wanted to make it a 5-on-5 War Games, why not? But that match definitely interests me more than the women's. I think the idea of kind of new guard, old guard, I actually quite like. And I think having such a drastic change these few weeks with 2.0, it's going to make 1.0 the biggest baby faces going, right?
Sure, but it's like I said earlier, though, like 2.0 has to win, right? Like I feel like that's gonna be the ultimate payoff. Like
I think so.
They have to. That's gonna be like the final image that we see is, the future is here. 2.0 is taking over and all that crap.
Before the interference, what did you make of the match itself between Raquel and Dakota?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't as good as their last match, I think. I wanted a little bit more. I already felt like something was going to happen when the whole like shovel talk was mentioned. I'm like, yeah, it's going to end in some sort of disqualification or non-finish or whatever. I feel like they're going to probably have, obviously, a better matchup at War Games. Just give them like a good spot between them two to kind of maybe be their blow-off. I don't think you have to have a final match between these two before somebody gets called up, but the War Games could be like the blow-off for those two.
Yeah. So, overall, what were your thoughts on this week's NXT, John?
It was okay. Borderline bad. I guess you could say a lot of things were pretty bad on here as far as the match quality goes. The non-match stuff was probably the strongest for me. I like the Poker Showdown. I like some of the backstage segments. But there wasn't like that one standout match. Like we didn't have that at all. Like the closest thing would probably be the main event. That wasn't even like a finish to a match. So yeah, match-wise, and that's like always been my strong point is matches. So if you can't have good matches, it's overall not going to be a good show for me. So unfortunately, I'm going to say thumbs down for this show. But NXT is not dead, and all these people should not go to AEW. Go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Go to MLW. There's all these places. Impact. I said it before. Keith Lee, before signing to AEW, go do a run of Impact. Kyle O'Reilly, if you're going to leave, go to New Japan Strong. There's all these like matchups that you can have. And the good thing about Tony Khan is he lets a lot of these people still wrestle elsewhere when they do sign, like a Bobby Fish or whatever. But like, I feel like AEW, there's a lot going on right now over there. Like, people might get lost at this point. Like Keith Lee might get lost in a AEW, unfortunately. So try other places. Go explore MLW and New Japan and Impact and all that. And when the time is right, sign that 3-year deal with AEW. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And then talk about them all every Wednesday on Shot in the Dark.
Exactly. I'm being selfish. I want to discuss your matches.
People.
Yeah, I want these guys on my shows. There we go.
Yeah, I feel I'm kind of on the same page as you. This week really lacked the wrestling for me. I thought Raquel and Dakota was good. It wasn't great. It definitely wasn't on the level of the main event last week with was it Pete and Carmelo, which I loved. But I got into it and the crowd definitely helped. But it was a non-finish. The rest of the show, it was just squash after squash after squash. I agree. I quite enjoyed the Poker Room. I don't really know why it's there, but I did enjoy it. I think it was probably the strongest thing on the show. NXT 2.0 is a funny one for me. I definitely don't hate it as much as other people do, because I can see what they're trying. They're throwing a lot at the wall, and a lot of it isn't sticking. But for me, at the end of the day, you do still need the wrestling, and this week didn't deliver that. But there are certain matches down the line that I am intrigued in, and I think some of these characters, like 6 months down the line, could actually be pretty good and pretty entertaining. We're just at that really awkward stage at the moment. NXT 2.0 is an awkward teenager. It's just going through puberty. It's spotty. It's not turned into a swan quite yet, if that analogy makes any sense.
No, it does, absolutely.
Well, that's what we thought. Let's see what you guys thought. We put up our feedback thread on forum.postwrestling.com, as well as the Facebook group. Please join all our socials, the UpNext group on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at UpNextPodcast. But I'm going to start with the forum, and I'm going to go to MJ from NJ, who says, I don't know who the poker game is for. I don't know anyone would say the poker game was good TV. But if you consider what the performers had to set out to do, it was nearly great. Prediction, Hunter returns at War Games to lead Black and Gold, and they kick off a real war for control story to pop the show and course correct on what they've done with 2.0. They'll have us believe it was the plan all along, may coincide with the PG-14 rating. Davie, the way you told the final scene with all the women was epic until Siino said it wasn't good. I thought it was a tremendous closing segment until you said that. I wish I watched it.
You know what's funny on his note about Hunter returning at War Games? There was something that Grayson Waller was saying in the Last Legend segment. He kept mentioning the game. He was like, "Oh, how the game has changed, and I am the game now." I don't know if you noticed that. He kept saying the game, and I'm like, maybe MJ's onto something. Maybe Hunter comes out and gives a pedigree to Grayson Waller there and says, fuck 2.0.
Well, he was doing it more because that's LA Knight's catchphrase, right?
Right. But still,
whose game is it? It's LA Knight's game. Yeah, I would love that, and I definitely think, as MJ said, they can do it and say it was the plan all along. But that's definitely the story for me that would most interest me at the moment, and I think going into War Games, that certainly is the story I find most interesting. But I can't see that being the case. I see it more just it one-off in a few weeks at War Games, and we finally put the nail in that coffin of 1.0. Do you have the Facebook group open there, John?
I do. We're going to go to Sean McTeer, who says, I'm going to beat Braden to it. This episode sucks. So unfortunately, we didn't get Braden's opinion this week on it. I mean, there was a poker game in a ring that lasted longer than most of the matches. The talent who you'd expect to put on a good performances did so in the time they had, and some interesting stuff was possibly set up. But I'm becoming less confident if whether they can pull off any of it. Mello versus Dunn versus Johnny should be great, but will it get the time that it deserves? Somehow I doubt it. Waller and Ciampa's promo seem to set up NXT versus NXT 2.0 at War Games, which I like in theory, but how many of these new talents do we really want to see in a War Games match? The main event was okay. This was Raquel and Dakota's second match, and honestly, I don't need to see it again. The post-match scrum was a mess with ladies caught on audio calling out spots all over the place. As for the women's War Games match, they just set up Io's great and all, but can she really carry all these other ladies through a War Games match? I don't know. This is the lowest I have been on NXT 2.0 so far. Hopefully next week will be better.
We go to Scrump, who says, it's nothing about NXT, but I'm going to read it anyway. New Spider-Man trailer, boys. If you haven't already, give some of your thoughts on it. And if you have, then I agree with what David says, as Braden doesn't watch the Marvel movies, but loves Spider-Man 3, a film about Mary Jane's failed Broadway career. I'm going to move on to the next one, where Glenn Zadra says, take a shot every time Braden says that NXT is dead. Wow, a lot of love for Braden this week.
Yeah.
And I'll go to
a sober episode. No shots.
I'm going to go to Corey, who says, this episode largely sucked. The brawl at the end of the show was incredibly sloppy, and WWE sticking Mandy, JC, and Gigi in a War Games match is an incredibly bad idea. Holy hell.
We go to Fire Frank Sulo. Congrats to Siino making his upNXT debut. I feel like I've been on upNXT before. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. Meanderings. Why did I find that silly poker game so endearing? And why is it that Craig Robinson pizza commercial so weird? Tony D for life. Shout out EO Regal. See you on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Craig Robinson Pizza Hut commercial. Every time it comes on, it's got a real NXT 2.0 vibe about it, like the music and everything. So it's a commercial break, and I always go off to do something, and then I hear Craig Robinson talking about pizza, and I'm like, oh, NXT 2.0 is going on. It's a new gimmick. It's the Pizza Man or something. And I was like, oh, it's just commercial. So I know what Frank's getting at there. We go to Dylan, who says, maybe it's just me, but this was the best episode of NXT 2.0 so far. Still no NXT 1.0, but almost everything worked for me. I only had 2 issues with tonight, the poker segment and a DQ in the main event. That being said, most of the show was good, and a lot of our complaints were being addressed. D'Angelo got a big win, but Dexter didn't look too weak. Triple Threat next week looks lit, likely to spin off into the men's War Games match. Mello got pieced up on the mic, though. It appears the shaman for MSK is Jeff Hardy.
Ooh.
And that's great. Okay. KUSHIDA got some serious shine in the 6-man tag. Roddy getting pinned isn't ideal, but he's the Cruiserweight champ and got pinned by a 400-pound man, so I'll let it slide. Plus, the match was fun. Gacy versus Strong sounds good to me as well. Legado finally looked strong. Santos versus Zion is another interesting matchup to look forward to. Kyle O'Reilly was referred to as Wagner's mentor on commentary. Hopefully they position this pairing that way more going forward. And Imperium even watched the TV at a normal human angle. How is Grayson Waller not the heel? Simple. He is the heel, and his attitude feeding into Ciampa's disgust at the new crop of talent is clever. DQ finished the main event was disappointing, but they set up War Games nicely. I thought the fans were chanting boring for a minute, which confused me until EO said it with the same cadence as the chant, meaning War Games. Who do you think the 4th woman on the babyface side is? My money is on Kaylee Ray. Yeah, I think we agree with you there. Dylan, I think both feel Kaylee Ray.
I like that Jeff Hardy thing. It makes sense with the whole tag team specialist or whatever. But isn't the shaman? Wasn't that John Morris's nickname? Right, shaman of, or is that shaman of sexy? Who is that? Is that?
Yeah, I think he was a shaman, or was that Matt Sydal? Isn't he a shaman or something?
There's too many shamans in wrestling.
Too many shamans. Maybe that's why Jeff Hardy was talking to Aaliyah on SmackDown. He was like, "Hey, what are these MSK guys like? What's that Nash Carter like? Maybe."
Okay, I can see that happening, but I don't know if Jeff Hardy wants to get involved with MSK Supplies. I don't know if that's a healthy thing for him to be doing. We'll go to last bit of feedback by Surin here. Bless Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson for doing what they could with that horrid material. I know the basics of poker, but I had no idea what was going on throughout that segment. All the convoluted rules at the start reminded me of an AEW casino battle royale. Bummer to see NXT like this. Leave the memories alone.
So yeah, a lot of people still not on this NXT 2.0 train. But I can't say this was a strong episode this week. Definitely missed that killer match. But it seems like we're going to get a couple next week. Grayson Waller versus Tommaso Ciampa has been confirmed. And that main event of Pete Dunne versus Carmelo Hayes versus Johnny Gargano for the North American title should be pretty awesome. So a couple of things to look forward to there. Well, that brings us to an end tonight. But Siino, before we go, have you got anything else you'd like to plug coming up? Obviously, Shot in the Dark tomorrow. Where can people find you on your socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So find me on socials at Siino Evil, CNOEVIL, on everything: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Wednesdays is probably my busiest days because I have Shot in the Dark in the morning, and then I have reports for MLW and now AEW Dynamite the same day on Wednesdays. So that's the time you can definitely find me on postwrestling.com. This weekend I have a report for Impact is doing a pay-per-view for Turning Point, which should be okay. I have Moose and Eddie Edwards and a couple other pretty good matches on there. And yeah, that's it. And catch me on any other random shows I might pop on here or there.
And also, if you want to head to prowrestlingtees.com/upnext, you can find all our merchandise there. So go have a look. Christmas is coming. Get in those orders early. Our hoodies were very, very popular last year. But I'd like to announce right now that John Siino will be having his own Shot in the Dark shirt and hoodie coming out on the store this week. So it's been submitted. It should be up by the weekend. So do yourself a favor. I believe there's loads of promotions going on this weekend due to it being Thanksgiving in the US. So a great time to show your support to Mr. Siino and buy one of his shirts or hoodies. So check that out. Should be up by the weekend. So prowrestlingtees.com/upnext. Well, thank you, Siino, for filling in this week. Really appreciate it. You're always you're a great hand, Siino. You're a great hand to have here.
Thank you. I'm just happy we have chemistry, me and you. That's the one thing that I worry about.
Yeah.
Saying. And let's go fire Frank on Thursday. Do it for Yonkers. Do it for Eddie Kingston. Come on. Do it for Getty Square and everybody on the block. Come on, Frank. You can do it.
Yes, we're almost there. The big first title defense of Fire Frank, the BDE champion. Will he fall at the first hurdle? He's got a fatal 5-way to navigate through. That gives him a 20% chance of winning if we're talking about wrestling logic. So it could go either way, but that will be happening live on Twitch at 9 p.m. this Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us again tomorrow, of course, for BD Elite, where Braden will be back chatting all about AEW Dynamite. It's the era of cowboy shit. I think it's National Cowboy Shit Day tomorrow. So yep. Maybe we'll be in some cowboy hats for that. Go ahead, as I said at the beginning, follow our Twitch channel, subscribe to our YouTube, give us a follow on Twitter, leave a 5-star rating and review. All these things can help us a lot. And ultimately, go to patreon.com/upnext to give us your support. But that brings us to an end, guys. Thank you very, very much for joining us. You can find me at Davie Portman and find us at upNXT Podcast. And you can find John at Siino Evil. We'll chat to you very, very soon. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And I don't know. I'm not good at these closes. Siino, have the last word.
I'm going all in. Poker.
All in. Okay.
All in.
Ahoy!
All I do is win, boy.
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.